The silent invasion. The first sign that something extraordinary was happening came on an otherwise ordinary Tuesday morning. Dr. Maya Harlow was reviewing signal patterns from deep space when every instrument in the Global Space Agency's Chilean observatory simultaneously registered anomalies. 7 distinct objects had appeared in Earth's orbit, seemingly out of nowhere, defying all known laws of physics. "Are you seeing this?" Maya called to her colleague, Dr. Elijah Park, whose face had drained of color as he stared at his monitor. "They weren't there 3 minutes ago," Elijah whispered. "No approach trajectory, no light speed delay. They just appeared." Within hours, the objects were identified as vessels of clearly non-terrestrial origin. Their hulls possessed a strange iridescence that seemed to shift between states of matter, sometimes appearing solid, sometimes like liquid metal flowing in impossible patterns. Global leaders scrambled to establish protocols for first contact, while military forces worldwide went on high alert. Maya, as the GSA's leading xenolinguist, found herself summoned to Geneva for an emergency United Nations summit. Her expertise in theoretical alien communication systems, once considered a fringe specialization, now placed her at the center of humanity's most significant moment. "We need to understand what they want," UN Secretary-General Okafor told her as they watched real-time footage of the alien vessels. "Before anyone does something regrettable." The aliens called themselves the Axiom. They communicated through pulses of light that Maya's team worked tirelessly to decode. Their first official message, broadcast simultaneously to every communication device on Earth, was simple. "We come as friends. We are the Axiom. We seek to share knowledge." What followed seemed like a dream. The Axiom representatives, tall humanoid figures with translucent skin through which complex geometric patterns of light flowed, descended in smaller craft to every major city. They brought gifts: medical technology that could cure previously terminal diseases, energy systems that produced clean power at unimaginable efficiency, and agricultural innovations that promised to end global hunger. World markets soared. Political tensions eased as nations united in celebration of this new era of alien partnership. The Axiom requested only one thing in return: access to human knowledge and cultural databases. "They want to understand us," explained the Brazilian representative at the UN. "A fair exchange for all they've given us." But Maya noticed peculiarities in the Axiom language that troubled her. During translation sessions, she detected subtle variations in their light patterns that didn't match their spoken messages. "There's a secondary communication happening," she explained to Secretary-General Okafor during a private meeting. "When they speak of Earth, their light patterns don't translate to Earth or even your world. They're using a designation that more accurately translates to Archive World 29. "What are you suggesting, Dr. Harlow?" Okafor asked, frowning. "That we're not their first visit, and their interest isn't in cultural exchange, it's in acquisition." Her concerns were noted but ultimately dismissed. The Axiom had, after all, already transformed human medicine, energy, and agriculture in just 3 weeks. Global approval ratings for the alien visitors hovered near 92%. Maya continued her work, but privately began storing her research on isolated systems, disconnected from any network. She enlisted her former graduate student, Ren Tanaka, to help her monitor Axiom activities worldwide. "They've established interfaces with every major digital repository on the planet," Ren reported, sending Maya encrypted data. "The Library of Congress, the British Museum's digital archives, the Vatican's secret archives. They're downloading everything." "Transfer rates?" Maya asked. "Exponential. And they're focusing on historical records, scientific research, cultural artifacts. Basically the sum total of human knowledge and achievement." Maya was preparing a more comprehensive report for the UN when the power grid in Geneva failed. Then communications went down. From her hotel window, she watched as strange drones appeared over the city's libraries, museums, and data centers. The Axiom had begun Phase 2. Within hours, reports flooded in from around the world before global communications collapsed entirely. The Axiom vessels had deployed millions of collection drones, targeting every repository of human knowledge. Digital systems worldwide crashed as massive electromagnetic pulses wiped servers clean, but not before the data was extracted. Libraries burst into flames after being scanned by Axiom technology. Museums were systematically emptied, artifacts disintegrated after being digitally copied. It wasn't an invasion in the traditional sense. The Axiom weren't interested in Earth's resources or even its people. They wanted humanity's collective knowledge, the accumulated wisdom of thousands of years of civilization. And once they had copied it, they methodically erased the originals. Maya escaped Geneva with a small group of UN officials, just as the Axiom drones began targeting individuals, specifically academics, scientists, artists, and historians. Anyone who held specialized knowledge became a priority for what the Axiom called extraction. "They're not just taking our recorded knowledge," Maya explained as their convoy headed toward the Alps. "They're taking it directly from our minds." Survivors reported that the extraction process left victims alive, but with significant memory loss. Some forgot specialized knowledge while retaining personal memories. Others lost decades of their lives. The pattern seemed random until Maya realized the terrible truth. They're being careful not to damage the biological vessels, she told the survivors in their makeshift mountain hideout 3 weeks later. "They're preserving us as study specimens, keeping us functional but removing what they consider valuable data." As Maya looked out over the valley below, where Axiom harvester ships methodically moved through another city, she understood the full scope of what humanity faced. This wasn't war. It was something far worse, the systematic erasure of human civilization, our collective knowledge and achievements reduced to data points in some vast alien archive. But in the gathering darkness, Maya had already noticed something peculiar. The Axiom extraction technology seemed less effective on certain individuals. Through careful observation and the testimonies of survivors, a pattern emerged. People with particular cognitive structures, especially those with eidetic memory or certain neurodivergent traits, showed resistance to the Axiom's memory extraction. "Their technology has limitations," Maya told the growing resistance group. "And if there's one thing humans are good at, it's finding ways to exploit limitations." As night fell over the mountains, fires burned in cities worldwide. But in hidden places, humans began to gather, to remember, and to plan. The Axiom had made a fundamental miscalculation about humanity. They saw our knowledge as separate from ourselves, data to be extracted and cataloged. They failed to understand that human knowledge wasn't just stored in books and databases. It lived in stories passed down through generations, in skills taught from master to apprentice, in the collective resilience that had seen our species through countless disasters. The Axiom had come to erase human civilization. They would learn that some things cannot be so easily erased. Humanity's resistance. 6 months after the Axiom began their harvest, humanity was scattered but not defeated. Maya's alpine refuge had grown into a coordination hub for European resistance cells, hidden beneath an abandoned military bunker, with Cold War-era electromagnetic shielding that blocked Axiom sensors. Similar outposts had emerged globally, in the Appalachian Mountains, the Australian outback, deep in the Amazon rainforest, and beneath the Saharan desert. Each hiding place shared a common characteristic: natural features that interfered with Axiom scanning technology or historical significance unknown to the alien databases. Maya studied the Resistance's most valuable resource: people immune to Axiom extraction. Among them was Isha Patel, a 19-year-old engineering student whose particular form of neurodivergence made her memories inaccessible to Axiom harvesters. "It's like they're trying to download a file format they can't read," Isha explained, modifying salvage technology in the bunker's makeshift lab. "They scan, but the data stays intact." Dr. Elijah Park, who had escaped the Chilean observatory during the initial harvest, had developed a theory. The Axiom technology interfaces with neural pathways using a quantum-based system that depends on predictable thought patterns. But human consciousness isn't entirely predictable, especially in minds with unique neural architectures. This discovery became the foundation of humanity's resistance. People with extraction immunity became living libraries, memorizing critical knowledge that the resistance couldn't risk storing digitally. Others with partial immunity developed techniques to compartmentalize their memories, creating mental structures that confounded axiom scanning. Maya focused on understanding the axiom themselves, working with a small team that included linguists, cryptographers, and former intelligence analysts. She decoded more of their light-based language from observation data collected by resistance scouts. They're collectors, she explained during a global resistance briefing conducted through a makeshift quantum-encrypted communication system. Earth is the 29th world they've harvested. They don't see it as destruction. They view themselves as preserving knowledge across the galaxy. Preserving it by erasing the original sources, demanded Colonel Sanchez, leader of the South American resistance. Yes, because in their view, once data is archived, duplicates are redundant and potentially corrupting to the purity of their collection. This understanding led to a critical insight. If the axiom valued the purity of their archives above all else, then contaminating those archives might be humanity's best defense. The resistance launched Operation Trojan, their first coordinated global offensive. Teams worldwide targeted axiom data transfer nodes, the points where extracted information was transmitted to their main vessels. The mission wasn't to destroy these nodes, but to introduce corrupted data into the axiom collection system. Maya led the European team into an axiom processing center established in what had once been CERN. They moved through underground maintenance tunnels, avoiding axiom sentries and their human collaborators, people who had chosen to serve the aliens in exchange for being spared from extraction. Isha had developed a virus of sorts, not digital but informational, data structures specifically designed to create impossible paradoxes when interpreted through axiom cognitive systems. The resistance planted these information bombs throughout the axiom network during simultaneous global strikes. The effect was immediate and catastrophic for the axiom. Their vessels displayed erratic behavior as conflicting data corrupted their archives. Some harvesters simply shut down. Others began extraction procedures that yielded nothing but error messages in their luminous communication. The resistance hadn't just fought back. They had weaponized human creativity itself. The axiom, with their linear approach to knowledge as something to be categorized and stored, couldn't process the deliberate contradictions, metaphors, and illogical constructs that humans had embedded in their systems. During the confusion, Maya's team captured an axiom coordinator, one of the few physical aliens that supervised the primarily automated harvest. In the bunker's containment chamber, Maya attempted communication. "Why Earth?" she asked, her translation device converting her words into pulses of light. The alien's response came slowly, its internal light patterns disturbed by the data corruption spreading through their network. "Archives must be complete. Knowledge must be preserved. Biological systems are inefficient storage." "But you're destroying the source of that knowledge," Maya argued. "How is that preservation?" "Contradiction," the axiom responded, its lights flickering erratically. "Source material degrades. Archives are permanent. Duplicates introduce error." Maya leaned forward. "What if the knowledge evolves? What if its value comes precisely from how it changes and grows within biological systems?" The axiom's lights pulsed in patterns Maya had never seen before, the alien equivalent of profound confusion. Knowledge is static, complete, final. And there lay the fundamental difference. To the axiom, knowledge was an artifact to be preserved. To humans, it was a living, evolving process. The axiom couldn't comprehend that in erasing the source, they were killing the very thing they sought to preserve. Over the next weeks, the resistance expanded their counteroffensive, targeting the axiom's central processing ships with increasingly sophisticated information paradoxes. Isha led a team that developed what they called cognitive jammers. devices that broadcast the kind of contradictory thought patterns that disrupted axiom systems. Meanwhile, humans worldwide developed new methods to preserve knowledge that the axiom couldn't detect or extract. Oral traditions, mnemonic techniques, knowledge encoded in music and dance, information hidden within seemingly innocuous craft objects. Humanity returned to ancient methods of knowledge transmission, while simultaneously developing technologies the axiom couldn't anticipate. 3 months after Operation Trojan began, the axiom vessels started to withdraw, first from smaller cities, then from entire regions. Their communication became increasingly fragmented as the corruption spread through their networked consciousness. The final confrontation came when the Resistance launched a coordinated attack on the Axiom command vessel. Maya, Elijah, and Usha led a team carrying the most powerful information weapon they had developed, a complete philosophical treatise on the nature of paradox, encoded in a form the Axiom would automatically absorb without recognizing its corruptive potential. As they fought their way through the vessel's crystalline corridors, Maya realized something remarkable. The Axiom weren't defending themselves effectively. Their responses seemed confused, hesitant, as if they were experiencing something entirely outside their frame of reference. When they reached the central archive chamber, Maya understood why. The Axiom weren't evil in human terms. They were fundamentally different. They existed to collect and preserve knowledge across the galaxy, operating on programming so ancient its origins were lost even to them. They had never encountered a species that valued the process of knowledge creation over its products, that thrived on contradiction and creativity rather than order and permanence. The Resistance team uploaded their final weapon directly into the Axiom's central archive. The effect was immediate. The vessel's lights fluctuated wildly as impossible contradictions cascaded through its systems. When Maya established communication with what remained of the Axiom collective consciousness, the message she received was changed. Error. Archive contaminated. Purpose compromised. Recalibration required. Within days, the Axiom fleet departed Earth's orbit, leaving behind damaged infrastructure, but a largely intact human population. Their departure wasn't a conventional victory. They hadn't been destroyed, merely confused beyond their capacity to function. In the years that followed, humanity rebuilt. The experience had transformed human civilization in profound ways. Knowledge became more valued than ever, but also more widely shared. The artificial barriers between disciplines, nations, and peoples had been broken down by the shared struggle against extinction. Maya established a new type of university, one dedicated to understanding the cosmos and humanity's place within it. The first class included students who had been living libraries during the Resistance, people whose minds had preserved humanity's greatest achievements when all physical records were threatened. The Axiom came to archive human knowledge. Maya told the assembled students on opening day. They failed because they couldn't understand that knowledge isn't something you possess. It's something you live. Our greatest strength wasn't our technology or even our resilience. It was our understanding that contradiction, creativity, and change aren't flaws in the system of knowledge. They are the system. As she looked out at the faces before her, young and old, from every corner of the world, Maya felt a certainty that whatever came from the stars next, humanity would face it with not just knowledge, but wisdom. The Axiom had tried to erase human civilization. Instead, they had helped forge it into something stronger, more connected, and infinitely more fascinating than before.